Hey everyone, Mike McClary from amazing.com here on this live session. And if you are a seller on Amazon, you don't want to miss this because today we are going to learn about how Claudia, a seller on Amazon, was able to increase her sales 5 times with one simple pricing tweak, and she still was able to also maintain a 37% profit margin while doing that. So if you're a seller on Amazon and you want to increase your profits, or maybe you're struggling to make a profit, this is definitely the live session that you want to be on. And we have two awesome people. Isaac and Kirsty are on the call with us today, and they're going to be walking us through some simple training that's really going to help you focus in and understand how important your pricing is to your business. Now, before we get into the training, however, I want to ask a favor of you. If you can see us and hear us fine, let us know right here, and I'll see the comments coming through. And then also, I'd like for you to like and share this video. It really helps make sure that people can see the free training we're putting out there and share it with as many people as possible. And if you want to leave a comment, let us know where you're watching from. That would be awesome as well. What we will be doing as well after the training, we'll be getting to some live Q&A. So as we go through and you have any questions about pricing or Amazon in general, feel free to save some questions for the end. And then I'm definitely going to hit up Isaac and Kirsty and get their answers, and they'll share their knowledge with you on exactly what we want to be able to do. Now, so if you haven't heard yet, we have also released a brand new program on Amazing called Amazing Accelerators, and it is specifically built for people who are already selling on Amazon, but they really want to go and increase their profits and take their business to the next level. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about that right now because I want to get really into the training first off, but keep in mind that near the end, before we get to Q&A, I'll give you some more information, how you get a whole nother level and a whole nother set of free training using Amazing Accelerators. But first, I want to bring on Isaac Kuman and Kirsty Verity. They've been selling on Amazon for a really long time now. I've known Isaac now for several years. Kirsty, I've known back till probably 2000 and I think 14 is when we first met
14,
down in Austin, Texas. She was just starting off selling on Amazon and then very quickly blew completely by me and kind of like took the world by storm and literally the world, not just the US, but the European markets as well with her business. And Isaac's been coaching people for several years now as well. They both know a ton about Amazon, selling on Amazon. And today they're going to share specifically with you what they know about pricing and how important it is to your business. So Isaac and Kirsty, welcome. And let's help share some knowledge from people.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, it's great to be here, guys. Obviously, as Mike, you just said, this is something that we've been working with other sellers for a few years now, about 3.5 years now. So Kirsty and I have been working with, thousands of sellers. And what we really want to talk to you guys about today was just like the simplest way to accelerate your sales, which is pricing your product correctly. That means we're going to talk about the main reasons price matters and why you can't just pick any price you want, because a lot of people, and I actually just saw this today in one of our communities, somebody was like, I just want to price at a premium price. And I don't see how to be able to do that in my marketplace. And we'll talk about that. Also, how to know what price you should sell your product at, because obviously there's going to be competition and you're going to want to be able to get some sales from the competition as well. And how to pick products based on pricing before you even sell it. And that's one thing that we actually do. We plan it out ahead of time to know what our price is going to be before we even sell it. And Kirsty, that was one of the things when I first started working with you, like I always had a pricing in my head, like, here's what reasonable pricing is. But when I started working with you, you were like, well, here's a spreadsheet and we can just plan it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's even better.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the key things that people miss, especially on Amazon, is that they don't think of pricing as a marketing tool. They just think of it as, this is the thing that I want to sell it for because I've put all my love and my energy and my nurturing into this thing. It's my baby that I'm just launching into the world, right? So you think I've put all this love in, so therefore everybody else wants to buy it with all that love attached to it. But the reality is that there is a pricing threshold where you're going to be competitive in the marketplace. And that is something that you need to be thinking about before you even start to launch your products, right? So think of price as a key marketing lever, one that you can be competitive with, one that you can obviously make a profit with, and then one that you can also leverage every day on Amazon. So for instance, if you want to be able to, boost some sales, you can, tweak the price to be able to do that. And once you understand what we call price elasticity, essentially what is the threshold that your pricing can go to? Well, number one for profit, and then number one for getting that boost in sales. So think of it that way. That's what we call it, price elasticity. How elastic is that price for you in terms of maximum sales and maximum profit?
Yeah, and hopefully you guys don't hear there's somebody mowing their lawn suddenly right next to me. So hopefully that doesn't come through on the microphone. But yeah, the one thing I always bring it back to is imagine you're an Amazon customer, because most of us actually are. You're going to go on Amazon and you're going to look for what we consider best value products that have great reviews. They look like they have great quality, and then they're priced at a price that you would actually buy. There is what you just said, a limit of what you would pay for something, no matter what it is. Like, if you're going out and buying a garden shovel, you're not going to go out and pay like $500 for a garden shovel. That's unreasonable. Even if it was diamond coated and everything was the best that's ever been made, it's the best, garden shovel that's ever been put together, you will have a price threshold, and maybe it's like $75. But that's the thing. If you think that your product is more expensive than your competitors and you can't justify it, and people in their heads can't justify that spend, it doesn't matter how good your product is. You can't really get sales. You might get a few, but it's really hard to get people to just trust you inherently to buy a quote unquote better product when they don't know you from anybody else.
Absolutely. And one thing you have to think about with Amazon is you have to put your mind in the mind of a shopper, right? So when we're building our products, what we're thinking of is the mind of the customer. We're thinking about the person who's going to use this product, the person who's going to get a result from this product. And of course, you have to market your brand and your products that way. But when it comes to actually selling on Amazon, you have to put yourself into the shoes of the Amazon shopper. When they go and have a look on Amazon, they type in that keyword, they're looking for the best value. Now, that doesn't mean to say they're looking for the cheapest product, but what they're doing is they're looking for, as Isaac said, the quality, the branding, how you're going to market to them, and then also the price, right? So they're going to be looking at you compared to everybody else in those search results. And that's where you need to be competitive. So best product, best quality, best reviews, best marketing copy, plus the best price. Now, that doesn't mean to say you'd be the cheapest price, but it means to say that you need to overwhelm them with all that awesome stuff and give them a good price as well. So think of it as Amazon shoppers are looking for value. Otherwise, they'd be going into other stores at a high-end price. They'd be going to Gucci and all those high-end stores if they're not really bothered if price wasn't a thing for them. So that's why you need to think about pricing your products accordingly with a competitive set with everybody else that's going to be on there as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This lawnmower is like literally outside my window now, but
I hear it. It's good.
Okay, good. It's just like driving me crazy. I'm like, what are you doing right there? You're just sitting there now. But anyway, yeah. So the one good thing about that is that if you do have it priced competitively, there's like three things as an Amazon shopper you look at first. You look at the main image to see if it's what you want and if it looks good. Then you look at like the reviews and the price. So if you don't have a good price, people see that right on the search results. They see your price compared to everybody else who's a top competitor. If you don't price it competitively, people don't click on your listing, which means you don't even get the chance to convert with your marketing copy. If you don't have a good price, people will not click on your listing. And that's pretty much right off the bat losing the sale. So if you don't have the right price or a good price or a competitive price, you don't even get the chance to compete because you're literally all it's based on is at that point, reviews, main image, and pricing. If you don't get that click, everything else that you do on your listing doesn't even matter. So that's why it's very imperative that you actually get the pricing right. So that's pretty much what we want to talk about now is how to know what price you should sell your product at. And Kirsty, one thing that we always say is, there's always like one or two guys, one or two sellers. I shouldn't say guys, or who knows what, if they're men, women, whatever, but there's always one or two sellers on there that you're always focused on as another seller competing on that page. On page one, we always look at page one and go, that's the guy I want to take down this month. And then I'll go for like the next guy or whatever, but you're always looking to climb the ladder. It's like a boxer, you got to fight your way up the ranks. Then you got to fight the champion at the end. That's kind of like what we do on Amazon. We look, okay, here's our next goal. Here's our next goal. Here's our next goal. We're going to get past this guy. So we always kind of judge our pricing based on the things that are, most like our product and also who's the top sellers for those products as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we know that, right? Because we can use a tool, and a sales estimator tool that will give us some parameters to have a look at, well, what are these guys actually selling every month? Now, right at this point, we're not looking at necessarily at value sales. We're looking at volume sales, right? The unit sales, because that's where the demand is. When you look at units, it's basically that's how many people want to buy this thing. So what we're looking for is the top sellers with a good price point, not necessarily, you might get some top sellers on there in terms of like loads and loads of volume, but they could be selling at a very low price point. So look at it within the price range that you want to get to because of your profitability, and just aim for those sellers and say, well, okay, well, if they're selling at this price, what else do they have? Have they got a great listing? All those things that we talked about, great listing. Do they market well to the customer? Have they got good reviews? If they've got everything else dialed in, then you want to think about, well, how can I use price as a lever to be able to take that person down? Not in a bad way, but what you're doing is you're trying to compete for those sales. We call that market share, right? So what you're trying to do is steal some market share away from that seller. And what we might do is when we first launch a product, use price as a key lever to be able to do that and steal some market share until we get some more reviews in and, we get some more social proof, and then slowly start to raise that price up to be potentially $1 below the main competition. And so what we're trying to do is compete on everything else and have that one little extra edge with our price.
And Kirsty, how long do you think it would take on average for you to like slowly increase that price? Are we talking about a 1 week time period or maybe like 1 or 2 months?
1 or 2 months now. Yeah, for sure. It really depends on the category and it depends on how many sellers are in the category. But we're seeing on average probably 1 to 2 months before you get to the price range that you want to be at, for sure. It used to be a lot quicker than that, but of course, there's a lot more sellers in lots of different categories. So that's what we like to work on is 1 to 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I was just going to say is basically, there is kind of a threshold of, like you were talking about, you can't really sell below like $7 and expect to make any money, but you'll have an understanding of where you will make profit if you have any sort of planning sheet that tells you, hey, at this price, I have this profit margin, and at this price, I have this profit margin. And just because you are kind of, not making the profit margin you might want to make up front, like for example, if you're, hey, I'm only at 22% when I sell at this price, that's part of your kind of like ranking effort, right? So like you're trying to get a certain ranking, you're trying to get it to stick on page 1. Yeah, you might only get 22 or 15% profit during that time. But as you were saying, over the next 2 months, you can start to raise that price and get to your profit margin that you want. But the idea here is that kind of segues into our next topic of how to pick the products based on the pricing before you even sell it. So that way, that you're going to actually make the profit when you get to the regular price that you want to sell. So what we do is we actually have a spreadsheet that we talk about, and this is something we definitely talk about in the Amazon Amazing Accelerators program that we've put together with the amazing team. But it's one of those things that if you know what you're supposed to sell at in order to compete before you even sell the product, not only do you get the product at the price that you want, but then you go to your supplier and say, here's the price I need. So you need to be able to give me a really good price. So that way we can really grow sales long-term. Whereas I think a lot of people are like, hey, what's the price from the manufacturer? And then they go, okay, well, if that's the price, here's what I need to sell at in order to make a 40% profit, which is actually backwards thinking of what we're doing. We're reverse engineering the process and saying, here's what we need to compete at for price. Can we get that price from you? And that helps you save a ton of money on supplier negotiation as well.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
A great way to look at it. I hadn't thought about it that way, that start from the top where your profits are at, where you need to be, because so many people aren't getting the profits they want to. Start there and then work your way back. It's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yep.
And what you can do because you have the demand there, right? So you can then work with your supplier, as Isaac said, and you can actually say to them, in 12 months, this is what I'm expecting to achieve from a demand perspective. So how many units per day am I expecting to do? That's why I want you to give me this price. Now, it doesn't really mean you don't have to achieve that, but if you just show them the potential of what could be achieved, then they're more likely to give you a better price up front. And you're telling them, I can't buy this product at any other price. It has to be at this price. So you're negotiating from day one. So it just gives you a lot more confidence. It gives you a lot more leverage. And you also know if you can't get it for that price, then you need to move somewhere else. So it just puts you more in control as the business owner.
Yeah. And one thing I was going to say is the reason why we talk about pricing is everybody's like, yeah, but then you're going to hurt my profit margin. I want to make this profit margin. I want to make 45% profit margin. And what I would say and ask you guys here, who's on the call, who's watching this on Facebook and on YouTube, is how's that going? being higher priced than everybody. How many sales per day are you getting? Are you demanding, more of the market share? And I call it earning, not stealing, Kirsty. We don't steal here. We earn the market share. The idea here is that you want to earn as much market share as you can, because in the end, if you just sit there and get 1, 2, 3 sales a day, the profit margin doesn't matter. Because say you bought 1,000 units, they're going to sit there for 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. That doesn't help cash flow at all. That's not putting cash in your pocket. That's not helping you grow your business. That's stagnating. So if you don't have the daily sales to match the actual output of money and cash that you're putting in to bring back cash faster, which we call ROI, return on investment, right? We also want that to come back quicker, not just, more of it, right? So you can say, hey, on this 1,000 units, I'm going to get, $45,000 in profit, but it's going to take me 2.5 years to get that $45,000 in profit. Whereas you can say on this 1,000 units, I'm going to get $22,000 in profit, but I'm going to get it back in 4 months. You can get that 6 times or whatever before you get the other one. So now you've got 3 or 4 times the amount of money. So that's the way you should be thinking about ROI, not just how much profit margin can I get.
Yeah. And I would say it's the same thing when you're deciding, when you're adding extra cost into your product. So for instance, you might decide that you want to do air freight versus sea shipping, because you're going to run out of stock if you don't do that, right? And so it's the cost benefit of, I'm going to run out of stock. How much am I going to lose? Versus actually, if I air freight some in and sea ship some in, it might cost me more for the air freight, but overall, I'm going to be better off. And so you have to start thinking of these things in your business in terms of cost, added cost in, what's the return on investment to that added cost? Same with pricing. What's the return on investment for me to have a slightly lower price than what I dreamed I would sell this thing for? So stop dreaming and start thinking about actually, don't worry, look at the data, stop getting emotional about everything that you're putting into this business. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster sometimes, but really what you want to be doing is standing back and looking at these things very objectively and saying, it doesn't matter if this thing is a little bit cheaper than what I thought it was going to be, because I'm going to get so much more reward at the end of it.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to interject and say, we are not telling people to make crappy products. We're not telling them to make a subpar, in the end result product. We want you guys to have good products, but that's the thing. If you know what you need to get for your costs, you already know what the customer is looking for and the type of product. Then you don't try to oversell it. You don't try to over customize it. You don't over tweak it, and you give them what they're looking for at a price that they want, with the branding and the marketing and the reviews and all that other imagery and all that stuff that they actually want to see. You have a great way to differentiate yourself on Amazon. And the last thing I kind of want to mention here is that the one way that people seem to differentiate themselves on Amazon, at least over the last few years, has been, let me throw something else in there. Let me bundle something together so that way I can sell at a higher price. So that way I can also get a better value, and the customer is going to love what they get. What do you think about that? Do you think that the customer is looking for bundles most of the time on Amazon, Kirsty?
No. So if you look at your keyword searches, does it ever say, I want, so in the search term report, would it be a bundle of this thing, right? Or this thing with this thing? No, they're just searching for that one thing. And yes, sometimes there might be sets, but at the end of the day, if you actually compare a set of something to the individual items within that set, I would say 99.9% of the time that we've looked at that, the individual bundles and items will far outsell the set itself. And for some reason, as Amazon sellers, or many Amazon sellers, we're obsessed with like adding stuff into the product to make it look better. And essentially all you're doing is you're adding stuff in that people don't really want, or they don't want to pay for it. So by all means, add something in if you think it's an added benefit, but don't charge more to the customer. It's like, what did you call it, Isaac? A golden toilet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have an analogy that I use about pricing, and I call it the golden toilet analogy. So if you're selling regular toilets, you're more likely to sell a lot more toilets. Even if you build out this great golden toilet over here, which is, the best toilet that's ever been made, it's made of gold, it looks great. Your clientele base for that golden toilet is very, very small. Only a certain small amount of people are going to buy that. So if you want to sit on, a $800,000 golden toilet, great, but you're not going to get very many sold. But if you sell, a regular standard porcelain toilet, you're going to get tons of sales because that's what people want. So don't create a golden toilet for your own product, create a regular toilet and just try to sell the best version of that and just try to get the marketing and the messaging, your images right. And just make that the thing. Cause that's what people are looking for is, you don't want the toilet and a plunger unless you can throw it in for free. People don't want to pay extra for the plunger. They'll just buy the plunger separately. You don't want a toilet and a kitchen sink. They just want the freaking thing, right? So sell them the thing that they want and don't try to make it too much more complicated than that. If you can actually grow and differentiate yourself with your branding, your images, and in the end, your reviews and your pricing, you're going to be competitive on Amazon. And that's worked way more frequently than bundles have, as I've seen anyway.
Yeah. And the other thing I would just add to that is, again, don't look at your reviews and take a sample size of one and say, that's the thing that I need to do to make this product better, right? So we see this all the time. Jeff said to me, if you would only make this thing and it had this other thing on it, and then also you made it a different color and I want another variation of it, that's just Jeff, right? But the majority of people just won't care. But I tell you, if you actually ask Jeff, would you prepare to pay an extra $2 or $3 for his product? I would say 99% of the time he would say no. So just really think about what you're doing. Be very intentional about what you're doing to the customer and how it's going to affect the marketplace. And again, it comes right back to what we talked about at the beginning, price elasticity. We're not saying always have a cheaper price, just test out those different price ranges. And what you want to do is you want to test how much volume you got at this price and how much profit. Then move it up by $1. Test how much volume and how much profit you made. Then move it up by $1. Test how much volume and how much profit you made. What you want to do is you'll take kind of the sweet spot amongst all of that, because in some cases, a higher price by $1 might get you slightly less volume, but more profit, and it keeps your ranking on page one. Because that's the other key thing you need to think about is, even though you might sell less volume, you might make more profit, but the chances are if you're not doing enough volume, then you're going to lose your ranking. So just measure those sweet spots and then objectively say, this is the price I should be at most of the time. And then if you get any other competitors coming in or just like shaking things up a bit, then know that you can lower your price to a certain amount and you'll still make good profit, boost your sales again, and then slowly raise it back up again. So that's how you kind of understand your numbers, understanding the pricing leverage, and just know what those parameters are so you can confidently use it as a key lever as marketing in your business.
Yeah. And I mean, these aren't just things that we just made up and said, hey, this is how it works. I mean, we've been in Amazon since 2013, both of us. Mike, we've known and seen what you guys have done. We've worked with you guys off and on. And it's just a history of all these things that we see with the people that we work with, the people that we see you guys work with within our own businesses. And we look at it and go, okay, what keeps working? Well, having a good price keeps working. Raising your price to whatever you want to sell at doesn't work, and it doesn't work very often. So some people can get it to work, but a lot of times they're spending a lot more money to get it to work than people who are just, making a competitively priced product.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to the shopping environment, as I said before, because some people will say to us, yeah, but people will pay loads of money for luxury brands, and mine's a luxury brand. Okay, well, if yours is a luxury brand, the luxury shopper is not shopping on Amazon necessarily, right? The luxury shopper is shopping somewhere else. Yeah. So that's the other key thing that you need to focus on is you need to cater to that shopper environment as well as your brand itself. And, over time, maybe you make a luxury brand and then you sell it on your own website and you sell it in department stores or something like that. But that's what branding is all about. It's not necessarily just a logo. It's also about who's the shopper that I'm connecting with and where does that shopper shop? And then you position your brand exactly like that. Now, we're selling on Amazon. We don't want to be the cheapest product, but we don't want to be the golden toilet. So that's just think of it that way. Yeah.
So, and we'll get to guys' questions on YouTube and Facebook here in just a minute, but I just want to recap and just kind of let you guys know exactly what we talked about. So that way you can actually take action and go from here. So firstly, we talked about the main reasons price matters and why you can't just price anything you want, pick any price you want. Then we talked about how to know what price you should sell your product at. And then we also talked about how to pick products based on the pricing before you even attempt to sell it, before you even, get it manufactured. So the one thing I want to give you guys is a few action steps here. Number one, look at your page one competitors and see what bestsellers are selling at. What price are they actually selling at? then ask yourself, are you competitive to those prices? And then see if you can make your price competitive and still have good profit and ROI by putting it into a spreadsheet to see if your profit comes out and your ROI comes out to a reasonable sale amount. And then decide whether or not you want to keep selling this product. So have you got competitive cost of goods? Do you have a product that you can actually sell at that price? Or do you need to go back to square one and draw up exactly a new, maybe a different product or a less complex version of that product that can sell better? And then essentially at that point, you would make the decision, do I lower my price, or do I try to, kind of go back to square one and look for a product that's going to help me compete on this level? Because, there's a question from Tashna here it's more of a statement, but I kind of want to address it. And then Mike, I'll kind of throw it back to you. But she said, I lowered my price to $10 below the main competitor and below most of the rest. She said it boosted sales for only one day, then back to square one. My images are better than other sellers. Theirs is photoshopped. There's a lot of stuff in there that leads me to believe that you didn't give it a lot of time to test this out. Because we've actually seen this happen a lot of times. People will lower their price drastically, and then after one day they go, it didn't work. One day I got better sales, and then I left it there for another day, and it was a Tuesday, which is like the worst shopping day for some reason, Tuesday or a Friday. It depends on the day of the week. It really can. If you leave it there for like a couple of weeks and give it time to collect data, you would probably actually see that you're going to get a lot more sales. There's also kind of like this 24-hour window with Amazon. Anytime you really change something, it can mess with like your sales and your conversions and stuff. So there's another thing there. But basically, yeah. So as MGSP was saying, should we lower it and monitor it for 1 to 2 weeks? That's what we're talking about here. You can't just be like, hey, throw it in there just on a gut and say, this is the price I want to sell it at now, just for no reason whatsoever. And then just change it back because you don't feel it's working anymore. So that's one of the things that we always say is, you gotta measure things. You got to test them out. You got to track them. So again, keep it in a spreadsheet like MGSP was talking about. Mike. Yeah. So Mike, keep it in a spreadsheet. We actually track our sales and metrics daily. So we have, our conversion, our sessions, our units sold, our keyword ranking, all that stuff. And you keep track of that. And then you see what that price has actually done since you've changed it. And that's when you'll actually know, hey, is this working better or not? So I guess, Mike, I'll hand it over to you because I know that we're kind of, we have a time allotment here. We don't want to go too long, and I don't want to just keep talking for no reason. Hopefully,
I love listening to you guys talk.
Yeah.
You guys drop so many knowledge bombs and tactical information. I love strategies. I love tactics. You guys deliver on both. One thing I did want to do though is kind of bring it back to Claudia. I know that's someone you worked with intensely and really helped her get her business up and going. And can you tell us a little bit like what exactly did she do in order to get that 5x return on her product and still maintain that 37% profit margin?
Yeah. And I'll kind of start this, and then Kirsty, you can back it up and kind of explain some more of the details. But essentially Claudia was selling, surprise, surprise, a little bit of a bundle, to be honest with you. It was kind of like a 2 or 3 piece set. And we kept saying, well, unless you can price this at a price that people, wouldn't mind paying for and getting the extra things, because they're probably going to want one of those things in that bundle. Now, all the things were very complimentary. They weren't so like, hey, it wasn't like scissors and, a stapler or anything like that. It was a lot more complimentary than that. So they kind of went well together. And they were very low price products as far as what they cost her from her manufacturer. But I think she was selling it like something like $14.97. And she did what a lot of people have said not to do. And she lowered her price to $7.97. She still had a 37% profit margin because her goods were so low priced that she still had a 37% profit margin. She went from 5 sales a day at $15 to 25 sales a day, and she's continuing to get better sales. Now, that doesn't mean she's going to keep it at $7.97, even though it still has a perfectly decent profit margin and a good ROI. She might raise it to like $9.97, get even more profit. But the idea here is that she proved that just by doing that and following along and just watching what happened, that she was able to 5 extra sales. And this had nothing to do with Prime Day or anything like that. This was a regular day. And she just waited out to see day by day to see if, each week it was increasing. And that's exactly what happened.
Because as well with the bundle, as we said earlier, if you think about it, in the customer mind, in the shopper's mind, they're benchmarking that bundle even against the single product, right? So they're kind of thinking of it in the same price range as that. So for instance, I've got a product, it's a single product. There's also other, like they have a double, the same product twice, if you know what I mean. Yeah, double bundle, I suppose.
Multi-pack,
that's it. and I sell that thing for higher price than the multi-pack, and I sell more, which is weird, right? So again, it's because the customer only wants the single. So if you've got like a bundle pack and they're benchmarking the pricing against a single, then that's all they want to pay.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that Claudia will now do, is then she's not only going to 5x her sales, right? She's going to, I don't know, 15x it, right? Because she'll take out the 3 things, she'll actually price it properly, and she'll get 3 times the sales, if you like, just from that.
3 times ROI, 3 times the profit. Yep.
Exactly right. Because they're benchmarking it against that. So I would, yeah, exactly, Isaac, say to people, especially if you've got bundles right now, just go check the pricing versus the singles, and then also check the singles on their own, see how much demand there is, see what the pricing is. And you're spending, you can think about it, all those 3 times cost of goods together, you just split that out, get more volume on each, plus more profit on each as well. And even by lowering the price.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. That's great. And happy for Claudia, happy that she had you guys to help her out and make sure she made the right decisions and get her product up and selling and maintaining a high profit margin. So that's pretty much what we have for this part of the training. We still have a few more things to cover, but what I wanted to say that if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them below. I made a note of some questions I had myself. I didn't want to interrupt them too many times, but feel free to drop them below either on YouTube or on Facebook. Also, if you could ask a favor, if you have liked this training, this free bit of knowledge and strategy and tactics that Kirsty and Isaac have shared, please like it, please share it, and just comment something below so that we know we're giving you information and value that you want to get out of the program. Now, what I also want to talk about, I want to remember, sorry about that, bit my tongue there. I also want to talk about the Amazing Accelerators program that we just launched. This is a brand new program from Amazing that we've pretty much been having people ask us to create for the past 5 to 6 years. It is exclusively built with the existing Amazon seller in mind. And whether or not you're someone who is struggling to really get a profit out of your business right now, or maybe you are already making profits and you just want to increase those profits and take them to the next level, Amazing Accelerators is for you. And what I want to talk a little bit about is exactly what's included into the entire program, because it's not just a bunch of training videos, it's an entire program, just like we've done for Amazing Selling Machine. So Kirsty, why don't you first tell them about the online web class?
Yeah, sure. So we've got an online web class, as Mike said. And what we want to do is really take you right from where you're currently at right now, whether you're stuck in your business or you essentially just want to accelerate that business. And really, people come to us with, a product or a bunch of products. And we want you to leave Amazing Accelerators with a business, like a real business that you're going to grow and scale. So that's essentially what the web class is all about. There's 8 modules. In fact, actually, there's 9 modules if you include the welcome one, right? And really, it's all about assessing where you are right now in your business. Like I just said up front, standing back, being objective about your numbers, really understanding where you are right now, the importance of return on investment and cash flow, as Isaac was going through today. And then we really look at, okay, where you are right now and what are your gaps, what are your strengths, and how do we plug the gaps? So then we work on how you actually get the right products for cash flow and profit, right through to building an audience for sales and reviews, because that is the lifeblood of the business, is your social proof and obviously sales as well. Really understanding about your branding and keyword and listing optimization, right through to then driving traffic. So once you've got an awesome listing, is driving the right relevant traffic to your listing and getting that conversion rate. And then also amplifying sales and reviews through how do you do that, launch effectively and relaunch effectively. And then also, as Mike mentioned from earlier, one key thing that we really focused on to double our business was to then include market expansion. So we're all about simplicity. So take the same thing that you currently do and just sell that into different marketplaces using the same strategies. And then right through to how do you actually leverage that, build a team, because the right way to grow your business is not to do it all yourself. You guys need to become the CEO in your business, and you guys need to be able to direct other people and leverage the great team and leverage your profits effectively to grow the business to where you need it to be. So that's essentially it.
Awesome.
The modules,
and I've actually been privy to get them get Kirsty and Isaac's viewpoint and see them actually creating the training. It is top notch. It's actionable. It's awesome. It's clear, easy to understand. They have tons of tools that go along with it. I think I'll let Isaac tell you about that. But I want to tell you a little bit about the lifetime access you also get to the private accelerators community. So one of the things that we learned through the Amazing Selling Machine is that training alone isn't enough to really get you where you want to be when you're building a business. You also need a community, because sometimes in this business, and if you're an Amazon seller and you're watching this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You feel like you're on an island. Usually the people in your family, the people in your city, people you went to school with, they don't quite get what you do. But when you're among others, like at our SellerCon event or at some other live event where there's lots of other Amazon sellers there, you realize just how amazing this entire business is, how profitable it be, how scalable it can be, and it reinvigorates you. And it gives you the ability to network and to share your successes and failures and get ideas and inspiration from other people. Well, we've created this private community that you get lifetime access to, that you'll get all types of support directly from Kirsty, from Isaac, and also their mentors as well that are in the group. So you'll never feel like you have any questions that are unanswered. If you watch the training, and you don't get exactly what you need to do right away, which I've seen it, it's really, really clear cut. You can always hop inside of the community and ask any questions that you want, and you'll get an answer very quickly, and you'll be able to move right on with really growing your profits for your business. Now, like I alluded to, along with the training, along with the community, there's also a vault full of tools that I'll let Isaac tell you about.
Yeah. And so again, it's kind of a multi-step process, right? So you need the ideas, you need the training, so that way you understand what we're talking about. Then you need to be able to get the access between, the people who train it and you to answer any questions. But then you also really want some resources. So we've talked about a couple of spreadsheets that we use here today to calculate like our ROI, our pricing, our cash flow, our profit margins. And that's the kind of stuff that we put into our resource vault. So you get access to, any step-by-step guides, or what we call SOPs, that we have created for our businesses specifically. So if you need to know how to do anything that we talk about in a training guide, well, guess what? Right below that video is usually a step-by-step guide, if you can't just watch the video itself, to show you exactly how to do that. There's also spreadsheets that allow you to plan everything about your business, whether it's sales forecasting, inventory management, estimating your profit of your product up front. And it's not just profit, it's also ROI. It's also the cash amount. It's a lot of other things. Like we even have stuff for like planning your launch costs and even your profit margins, and then how to put the profit first in your business. So we have all these different resources that we've created over the last 3.5 years of working together. We've been able to fine tune them. And that's the other thing. Like these aren't just brand new things. These are the best versions of what we've created over the last couple of years. So you guys are really getting this full on, immersive, intensive program, but it's very actionable. It's very simplified. And that's one thing that we like to do more than anybody, I think, that we know of. And as well as with Amazing Selling Machine, we take these complicated thoughts and we boil them down and say, here's what you really need to focus on. Because there's so many things you can do out there, but really you need to focus on the things that you can actually achieve and not just try to do everything all at once. And that's what, the web class, private community, and with the resources you can start to do. And then I know the best thing is the implementation part. And Kirsty, I know we can talk about that with the implementation workshops as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all great. Everybody's got these classes, you've got the information, you've got the tools, you've got the community. But at the end of the day, you actually have to do stuff, right, to actually achieve the result. And that's one thing that we're all about, along with Amazing, is getting you to do some clear actions and really boil it down to you in terms of what's the right thing that you need to do right now in your business, because there's so many things that you could do. So that's what the live implementation workshops are all about. It's really about helping you to focus on what's right for you right now in the business and build you the next 90-day plan, action plan that you can do for you in your business and your goals. Not only do we have them live, but we also have access to live stream as well. And we'll have someone there. If you can't make it to the workshop, or if the workshops are sold out, you can actually do it live right in front in your home as well. And we'll have someone working with you live on that live stream to be able to get your 90-day plan done. And this is very important. It's a bit like what Mike said, right? Even about the pricing. If you start with the end in mind and then work backwards, that's exactly what you need to do in your business. You start with the end in mind, you work backwards to what do I need to do right now in my business to be able to achieve the longer term goal. And that's a key thing that Amazing Accelerators also works on, is that process for you. Because this is a process that is done time and time again in businesses, corporates, blue chips, most successful businesses. They run this type of process, and we want you guys to really understand that process and action it in your business.
Awesome. Thanks. And I'm going to be there for the live workshop. So I'm looking forward to them. Get to spend a little bit more time in Vegas. And the live streaming will be for anyone who joins up. You can sit and watch these workshops from wherever you're at. So you don't got to worry about it. You'll get tons of great help and training right there. When we're having, there's 2 different workshops. So you don't have to worry about fitting them all in 1 month. They're going to spread them out over the next 6 months. So they're going to be another great addition to the entire program. Now, one thing I want to do, I think I'm going to share my screen right now and show everyone exactly how you can actually get all the information and even more free training that comes along with Amazing Accelerators. So let's see if I can do this without messing up too much. And there we go. Sharing my screen. All right. So if you go to amazingaccelerators.com/blueprint, you'll see the 3rd video for the Amazing Accelerators free training program. And this video right here talks all about the course and how you can get access to Amazing Accelerators and allows you to really see everything that's involved that we just want right now and all the different aspects of the training and what comes along with Amazing Accelerators. And if you realize you're really ready to join, then simply click the yes, I'm ready to scale my business. Now, also, if you want to see more live sessions like this, where we're going to be sharing several more free tips and strategies, then you can also go to amazingaccelerators.com/live sessions as well. And then this is going to give you access. I'm going to scroll down to all the different live training sessions we have coming up this week. And you can see there's several that we don't even have, that they're be coming up in a few days here. Simply click the button, add it to your calendar, and then that way you'll get an automatic reminder. You'll never miss out on this completely free training. There is no cost at all to watch these free training live work sessions. They're just our way of giving more information and strategies back to you to help you with your business. And if you don't watch all 3 of the training webinars, you can see those up at the top as well. Let me move this around. There was the first webinar, the second, and the third. Tons and tons of great free strategies and training that you can get by going to amazingaccelerators.com, either /blueprint to join Amazing Accelerators or /live sessions to watch all the free stuff that we'll be talking about this week. All right, now I wanted to get to a little bit to Q&A. We don't have a ton of questions, but I did actually get a few questions here that I was keeping track of. One of the things you talked about a lot, Kirsty and Isaac, and it can be either one of you that talks about this. You don't focus as much on profit margin sometimes, but you like to focus on the ROI. Is there a certain ROI that you guys like to target when you're pricing your products?
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Chris.
so we generally like to aim for 150% ROI. So that's essentially a 1.5 return on your investment. So our profit margin, we like to aim for 35%. Our ROI is 150%. And we also want at least a $4 cash margin. So that's really looking at, the amount of dollars that you're going to get. So it's all well and good focusing on percentages, but then it's also good to sense check it against a cash margin as well. So yeah, $4, 35%, and 150% ROI.
Awesome. That's great knowledge right there. Next thing also, so this pricing strategy right here, I think we're kind of talking mostly about new products, but do you also periodically go back and revisit the pricing for your existing products as well? And if so, is it any different than what you went through today?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is just like if you sell anything, right? So let me ask, have you gone to this grocery store and you see the same things on sale every other month? Campbell's soup, Tide detergent, toilet paper, whatever, Charmin toilet paper. Every other month, it seems like they're on sale. The reason why they do that is because they don't want to lose market share. They don't want to lose their position in the marketplace. So they get people to kind of get hooked thinking, okay, well, 1 month we're going to get them to buy at a sale price. And then next month we'll go ahead and say, look, I'm going to lift it up so that way I can make the profit I want back. And then the next month I'll do another promotion. Now we don't have to do that because most of us aren't doing reusable products or refillable products, something like that. But the idea there is that you always want to keep pricing and staying on top of the pricing. So that way, if you're looking at your competitors and seeing that they're all of a sudden dropping their price, well, why is that? Now, I'm not saying that it's a race to the bottom and you just keep driving the price down and down and down. What I'm saying is if all your competitors keep driving the price to the bottom, well, it might actually help you to say, I'm staying firm at this price just to see what happens. So that way customers already got the value before. They still know that it's a great value. But if you keep driving the price down with them, a lot of times that actually can, and it can lower the value of the entire category, which can have long-term effects of that. there are kind of those things that you need to test out, and you need to make sure that, hey, am I driving the price of my entire market down? Or am I also like creating the right value for the customer? Those are the two things you kind of have to map out. The only way you can do that is by testing where you're pricing and where the customers are buying. And exactly, and like you said, Kirsty, we already get that through like, Jungle Scout or Helium 10, the market research tools. But then you go in there and say, look, I want to get a little bit better price for a better value, and then see what happens with the marketplace. You have to be responsive. You have to be dynamic. You can't just sit there and say, I'm going to have a static price forever, and we'll see what happens. Like basically, if you have that strategy, the best thing that you'll ever do is maintain the same thing, which means if the best thing you're ever doing is maintaining, everything else is basically all the other results that you could possibly have are you're going to go down. The idea here is that you want to keep going up as much as you can. And then when you do get to that maintenance point, you don't want to do nothing, because then you'll just go down from there. You have to keep fighting to keep that maintenance.
I think maybe a good thing for people to think about as well is, don't think of yourself in the mindset of an Amazon seller. You have to think of yourself as a mindset of the shopper. And I did mention this earlier, but essentially what that means is when it even comes to, so right now we've really focused on like using price down as a lever, but actually another way you can look at it is in those key selling periods. So Prime Day, Christmas, where people are not necessarily thinking about price as much because they're not necessarily buying it for themselves. They could be buying it for someone else, right? Especially at the Christmas time. So things that we've definitely tested is, rather than put the price down at Christmas, we actually put the price up slightly and make more profit, because the traffic that's going there, the shopper that's going there, is not necessarily as price sensitive as, say, someone who's buying it for themselves and is just shopping for themselves. So that's another way that you can look at price, is put yourself in the shoes of the shopper. Why are they shopping? Who are they buying for? And what's their key reason for buying right now? And that way you can use price in different ways to either enhance your profitability or drive your demand. So that's one thing that we talk about this a lot in Amazing Accelerators, is not just the pricing part of it, but is putting yourself in the shoes of the actual shopper and the customer. That's what gives you massive leverage in this business as well. So we didn't want this to be all about just leveraging the price down. It's also about using it in a clever way to be able to enhance your business.
Awesome. That's great advice. And the only thing I'd say is, like, your strategy during the holidays doesn't work for Rich Henderson. He tends to spend more on himself and less on others. So that's the only caveat there. We do have, sorry, Rich, if you're watching, Paul Barron's on, by the way. Hey, Paul, one of our great members and speakers also. He wanted to know if, when you're talking about your 150% target ROI and 35% profit margin, are you focusing on gross or net?
What does it mean by that? You mean after ads or before ads? Is that what it means? I think.
Yeah, probably. It would be before before any other costs in the business.
Yeah, gross.
Gross. Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought. And then the last question that I had on here was, when you are actually making any price changes, do you guys ever have any issues with losing the buy box?
Oh yeah, that's actually a great question, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up, because especially when you first start, there's a couple of things. So with pricing on Amazon, they have a buy box. There's a formula for it, but more than anything, if you have like in the back end, so a lot of people will put in like the sales price, the regular price, the manufacturer suggested retail price, and they'll fill all those out. And then by the end, when they drop that sales price to like, half the price of whatever the manufacturer suggested retail price is, say it's like $20 and they drop it down to $9.99. That sometimes can actually lose the buy box, because what Amazon's looking at is, all right, well, what's going on here? Because like you're saying it's worth this much, but you're then really devaluing the price by putting it on sale. So they see that as like some sort of price manipulation, I think, and that's why they take the buy box away. So if you want to get the best way to keep your buy box is, number one, don't put any sales price, don't put any of those like manufacturer retail price. Just put the regular price in there, especially when you start. And then you could usually get away with pricing anything. I legitimately sell a product for $5.49 right now. And it doesn't lose the buy box. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I actually got the product for almost free, and I just wanted to put it up and sell it, but it sells at $5.49. I still have the buy box, and I never had a problem with it because I never put a manufacturer price or a sale price. I just put regular price, $5.49, sell it, and let's see what happens. And it gets a couple sales a day. Again, it was really just like hey, let's test this product out and see if it works. because I basically got it from the manufacturer for free. So yeah, like you can do that. Now, when you do start to move things up a lot or things down a lot, that's when you can sometimes lose that buy box. So what you want to do is just test. Okay, well, instead of putting it down $10, let's put it down $2. Let's put it down $3. Do I still have the buy box? Okay, let's move it down $4. Do I still have the buy box? If you lose the buy box at $5, you'll know exactly where that threshold is. And that's how you kind of test out. And you'll be able to see that price reflect after about 10 minutes. So if you wait like 10 minutes, you'll know, do I have the buy box now or not? So if you just keep testing it, waiting 10 minutes or whatever, 5-10 minutes, then you'll be able to see, you know, it's usually price does actually lose you the buy box when you're the only seller on there. Now, if you're being hijacked or you're wholesaling, that absolutely can happen after a 10-cent difference. But we're talking about private label products that you're the only seller on because you own the products and you own the brand, and you lose the buy box and you're the only one there. And that's usually reflective of pricing, just like you said, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, people struggle with that one. And I know I did early on. So I'm always glad to get some other experts' opinions as well. So we are almost up to the top of the hour. I want to thank Kirsty Verity, Isaac Kuhlman for joining us today. They are the co-creators of the Amazing Accelerators. Again, if you want to check out that course, go to amazingaccelerators.com. You'll be able to access all the 3 free training videos. There's no cost to watch those videos right there. You can see everything that's involved inside of accelerators and decide if you want to join the full program as well. Also, if you go to amazingaccelerators.com/live sessions, you'll also be able to see the other live sessions we'll be having this week. Now, keep in mind, though, the doors are closing this Thursday on Amazing Accelerators, so you definitely want to check it out now. So if you have a chance, check it out this afternoon, or if not, at least tonight when you get a chance. So thanks again, Kirsty. Thanks, Isaac. Thanks, everyone else, for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next live session.
Bye, guys.